Hollywood's golden age was far more than glamour, fame, and flawless red carpet moments. Behind the dazzling spotlight, there existed a hidden world of powerful emotions, complicated relationships, and private lives filled with secrets that the public was never meant to see. The biggest names in cinema were not only icons on screen, but also figures surrounded by constant rumors, intense romances, and unforgettable drama. In this video, we step back into that legendary era to uncover the untold and surprising stories of Hollywood's most iconic stars, where reality was often far more dramatic than the films they made. Actor number 1, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was more than just a Hollywood star. She became a symbol of beauty, fame, and tragedy all at once. From the very beginning of her rise in the film industry, she captured attention in a way few others ever could. Her screen presence, charm, and unforgettable image made her one of the most recognizable faces in cinema history. But behind that shining public image was a life filled with emotional complexity and constant pressure. As her fame grew, so did the curiosity around her personal life. Marilyn experienced multiple high-profile relationships and marriages, including her widely discussed marriages with baseball legend Joe DiMaggio and acclaimed playwright Arthur Miller. Each relationship brought intense public attention, and her private life often became as famous as her film career itself. There were also long-standing rumors linking her to some of the most powerful and influential figures of her time, adding even more mystery around her already fascinating life. While the world saw glamour and confidence on screen, those who knew her closely often described a very different reality, one shaped by vulnerability, emotional struggles, and the heavy burden of constant public attention. Despite all of this, Marilyn Monroe remained an unforgettable cultural icon. She represented both the dream and the cost of fame in Hollywood's golden era. Her legacy is not only defined by her beauty and films, but also by the powerful emotional story behind the fame, making her one of the most discussed and remembered figures in entertainment history. Actor number 2, Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was one of Hollywood's most powerful and unforgettable icons, known not only for her extraordinary beauty, but also for a life that constantly made headlines. Her striking violet eyes, elegance, and commanding screen presence made her a global star, but it was her personal life that kept the world watching her even when the cameras were off. From a very young age, Elizabeth was surrounded by fame, and as she grew older, her relationships became one of the most talked-about subjects in the entertainment industry. She was married multiple times throughout her life, and each relationship brought a new wave of public attention, fascination, and controversy. Her love life often became front-page news, turning her into one of the most discussed celebrities of her era. One of the most controversial moments in her life came when she became involved with Eddie Fisher, a situation that created major tension in the public eye and affected her close friendships at the time. Despite the criticism and media pressure, Elizabeth continued to live life on her own terms, refusing to let public opinion define her choices or her identity. Beyond the headlines and personal drama, Elizabeth Taylor was also a highly respected actress with remarkable talent. She delivered powerful performances that earned her critical acclaim and major awards, proving she was far more than just a celebrity figure. Later in her life, she shifted her focus toward humanitarian work, becoming one of the strongest voices in the fight against AIDS awareness and research. Her legacy is a powerful combination of glamour, controversy, strength, and compassion. Elizabeth Taylor remains a symbol of old Hollywood at its peak, where fame came with both extraordinary admiration and relentless public scrutiny. Actor number 3, Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner was one of Hollywood's most naturally stunning and magnetic stars, a woman whose beauty and presence made her unforgettable the moment she appeared on screen. But what truly set her apart was not just her looks. It was her fearless personality and the way she lived life entirely on her own terms, without ever trying to fit into Hollywood's expectations. She entered the film industry at a young age and quickly became a rising star, but her personal life soon attracted as much attention as her acting career. One of her earliest high-profile relationships was her brief marriage to actor Mickey Rooney. Although the marriage was heavily publicized, it did not last long, marking the beginning of a personal life that would remain under constant public observation. As her fame grew, Ava found herself connected to several influential figures in the entertainment world. Her most widely discussed relationship was with legendary singer Frank Sinatra, a passionate and highly publicized romance that became one of the most talked about love stories of that era. Their relationship was intense, emotional, and often turbulent, reflecting the strong personalities of both individuals. Despite the attention surrounding her love life, Ava Gardner never allowed Hollywood to define who she was. She was known for her independence, confidence, and refusal to conform to traditional expectations placed on women at the time. Whether admired or criticized, she remained unapologetically herself. Her legacy in Hollywood is not only built on her film career, but also on her image as a woman who lived boldly, loved deeply, and never hesitated to follow her own path, no matter how public or complicated it became. Actor number 4. Grace Kelly. Grace Kelly was the perfect image of elegance, beauty, and sophistication, an actress who seemed almost too refined for the chaos of Hollywood. From the moment she stepped onto the screen, she carried a calm confidence that set her apart from other stars of her time. But behind that graceful image was a life that would take one of the most unexpected turns in Hollywood history. Before becoming a princess, Grace Kelly was one of the most sought-after actresses in the industry. She worked with some of the biggest names in cinema and quickly built a reputation for both her talent and her striking presence. During this time, she was linked to several well-known figures, including co-stars and influential men in Hollywood. Her relationships, while not always openly discussed, were part of the fascination that surrounded her rising fame. Despite the attention and success, Grace's life changed dramatically when she met Prince Rainier III of Monaco. Their relationship quickly captured global attention, blending Hollywood glamour with royal tradition in a way the world had never seen before. When she decided to marry him, she made the life-changing choice to leave her acting career behind completely. Her transition from Hollywood star to real-life princess felt like something out of a film. Millions watched her wedding, and her new life in Monaco turned her into a global symbol of elegance and royalty. Yet, this transformation also meant stepping away from the world that had made her famous. Grace Kelly's story is not just about fame or romance. It is about transformation. She remains one of the rare figures who successfully moved from Hollywood stardom into real-world royalty, leaving behind a legacy that still feels almost unreal even today. Actor number 5. Judy Garland. Judy Garland was one of the most talented and emotionally powerful performers of Hollywood's golden age, a star whose voice and presence could captivate audiences instantly. But behind her incredible success was a life filled with pressure, struggle, and constant challenges that began at a very young age. She entered the entertainment industry as a child and quickly became part of Hollywood's demanding studio system, where schedules were intense and expectations were relentless. As her fame grew, so did the control placed over her life, leaving little room for personal freedom. Despite this, she delivered unforgettable performances that made her one of the most beloved stars of her time, especially her iconic role in The Wizard of Oz. Away from the screen, Judy's personal life was far more complicated. She experienced multiple marriages and relationships, many of which were marked by emotional ups and downs. The pressure of maintaining her image, combined with the demands of her career, took a serious toll on her well-being over the years. Her struggles were not always visible to the public, but they deeply affected her life behind the scenes. Even so, she continued to perform, showing remarkable strength and dedication to her craft despite everything she was facing. Judy Garland's legacy is one of both brilliance and resilience. She is remembered not only for her extraordinary talent, but also for the emotional depth she brought to her performances, making her one of the most unforgettable and human figures in Hollywood history. Actor number 6. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was one of the most glamorous and admired stars of Hollywood's golden age, a woman whose beauty defined an entire era. Known as the love goddess of the 1940s, she became a symbol of elegance and desire, especially during World War II, when her image was seen everywhere, from movie screens to posters carried by soldiers around the world. On screen, Rita projected confidence, charm, and irresistible allure. Her performances, especially in films like Gilda, made her one of the most iconic actresses of her time. But behind that polished image was a far more complicated and often painful personal life that the public rarely saw. Rita's relationships were highly publicized, and she was married multiple times, including to some of the most powerful and influential men of her era. Each relationship brought intense media attention, but none seemed to provide the stability or happiness she was searching for. Her personal life was often marked by emotional struggles and difficult experiences that stood in sharp contrast to her glamorous public persona. As her career continued, the pressures of fame and her personal challenges began to take a toll. Despite her success, she often felt trapped by the image Hollywood had created for her, an image that didn't fully reflect who she truly was. Rita Hayworth's story is a powerful reminder that behind the glamour of old Hollywood, many stars faced realities that were far less perfect than they appeared. She remains an enduring icon, remembered not only for her beauty and talent, but also for the depth and complexity of the life she lived beyond the spotlight. Actor number 7. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was one of the most determined and ambitious women in Hollywood history, a star who built her career through relentless hard work and an unshakable desire to succeed. From humble beginnings, she rose to become one of the most powerful and recognizable faces in the film industry, known for her intense performances and commanding screen presence. Her journey to the top was not easy. Joan constantly fought for better roles and refused to be overlooked, proving again and again that she was more than capable of leading major films. Over time, she became one of the most respected actresses of her era, delivering performances that left a lasting impact on audiences. But while her professional life was filled with success, her personal life told a very different story. Joan's relationships were often complicated and became a frequent topic of discussion in Hollywood circles. She was known for having a strong personality, which sometimes led to intense and difficult connections with those around her. Her family life, in particular, became one of the most controversial aspects of her legacy. After her passing, a memoir written by her daughter brought serious allegations into the public eye, reshaping how many people viewed her as both a mother and a person. The book created a lasting debate about who Joan Crawford truly was behind closed doors. Despite the controversy, many of her colleagues remembered her as a hard-working and disciplined actress who took her craft seriously. Joan Crawford's legacy is complex. She was a woman of strength, ambition, and control, but also someone whose personal life remained deeply complicated and widely discussed long after her time in Hollywood ended. Actor number 8. Lana Turner. Lana Turner's rise to fame felt like something straight out of a Hollywood script. Discovered as a teenager, she quickly transformed from an ordinary young girl into one of the most glamorous and talked-about stars of her time. With her striking looks and natural screen presence, she became one of MGM's biggest names, capturing the attention of audiences around the world. But while her career followed the path of success, her personal life was filled with constant drama and intense public scrutiny. Lana was married multiple times, and her relationships often became the subject of headlines, making her one of the most discussed figures in Hollywood gossip circles. Each new chapter in her love life seemed to bring even more attention and speculation. The most shocking and defining moment of her life came when a violent incident involving her boyfriend turned into a national scandal. The situation was widely covered by the media and brought an overwhelming level of attention to her personal life. It was a moment that could have ended her career completely. However, despite the controversy and emotional turmoil, Lana Turner showed remarkable resilience. She continued working in films and proved that she was more than just a headline. Her ability to remain in the industry, even after such a major scandal, demonstrated her strength and determination. Lana Turner's life reflects both the glamour and the chaos of old Hollywood. She was a star who lived under constant public attention, navigating fame, love, and controversy all at once. Her legacy remains that of a woman who survived some of Hollywood's most dramatic moments and continued to shine despite them. Actor number 9. Marlene Dietrich. Marlene Dietrich was one of the most distinctive and unconventional stars of Hollywood's golden age, a woman who refused to follow the rules that defined others in her time. From the beginning of her career, she stood out not just for her beauty, but for her confidence, mystery, and bold personality that challenged traditional expectations. Her rise to fame began in Europe before she made her way to Hollywood, where she quickly became an international sensation. On screen, she projected a unique blend of elegance and control, creating a persona that felt both distant and deeply captivating. Audiences were drawn not only to her performances, but to the aura of mystery that surrounded her. Off-screen, Marlene's personal life was just as intriguing. She was known for forming close relationships with both men and women, something that was rarely spoken about openly during that era. Rather than conforming to social norms, she lived life on her own terms, never allowing public expectations to limit her choices. Beyond her career and relationships, Marlene also became known for her strong political stance during one of the most difficult periods in history. During World War II, she openly opposed Nazi ideology and used her influence to support Allied forces, even performing for troops near the front lines. Marlene Dietrich's legacy is built on individuality, courage, and timeless style. She was not just a Hollywood star. She was a symbol of independence and self-expression in an industry that often demanded conformity. Even today, she remains one of the most fascinating and influential figures of her era. Actor number 10, Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn was one of the most independent and strong-willed women in Hollywood history, a star who built her legacy by refusing to follow the rules set by the industry. At a time when actresses were expected to fit a certain image, she chose to be completely different, both on and off the screen. From early in her career, Katharine stood out not just for her talent, but for her personality. She often wore trousers instead of traditional dresses, challenged social expectations, and carried herself with a confidence that was rare for her time. This made her both admired and controversial, but she never changed herself to please others. Her personal life was just as intriguing. She had relationships that attracted attention, but the most significant was her long and deeply connected bond with actor Spencer Tracy. Their relationship lasted for decades and became one of the most talked about love stories in Hollywood, even though it remained largely private during their lifetimes. Professionally, Katharine faced challenges as well. At one point, she was labeled as box office poison, a term used for stars whose films were no longer performing well. But instead of fading away, she took control of her career, returned to the stage, and eventually made a powerful comeback that re-established her as one of Hollywood's leading actresses. Katharine Hepburn's story is one of strength, independence, and resilience. She didn't just succeed in Hollywood. She redefined what success looked like for women in the industry, proving that talent and authenticity could stand above expectations and limitations. Actor number 11, Greta Garbo. Greta Garbo remains one of the most mysterious and unforgettable figures in Hollywood history, a star whose silence became just as powerful as her performances. From the moment she appeared on screen, she carried an aura that set her apart. Calm, distant, and almost untouchable, yet impossible to ignore. Her rise to fame was rapid, and she quickly became one of the most celebrated actresses of her time. Audiences were drawn to her unique presence, a blend of emotion and restraint that made her performances feel deeply real, yet quietly powerful. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Garbo didn't rely on dramatic expressions. She captivated through subtlety and control. Off-screen, her life remained just as intriguing. She was known to have several relationships throughout her early years, but she never settled into marriage. Her private nature made her personal life a subject of constant speculation, adding to the mystery that surrounded her. What truly set Greta Garbo apart, however, was her decision to step away from Hollywood at the height of her success. At a time when most stars held tightly to fame, she chose to walk away completely, leaving behind a career that was still thriving. She famously expressed her desire for privacy, a rare stance in an industry built on attention. For the rest of her life, she remained largely out of the public eye, refusing interviews and avoiding the spotlight that had once made her a global icon. This decision only deepened her legend. Greta Garbo's legacy is not just about her films, but about the mystery she left behind. She proved that sometimes, stepping away from fame can make a star even more unforgettable.